Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I last filmed an actual reading video, but this is kind of a hybrid video between one of my reading ones and writing ones because I decided to pick up this book, which is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. And the reason why I decided to read this book is because I sent recently my first novel that is, fully written and has had a round of revision already. I sent it to a beta reader and to a critique partner, so two people who are going to read the novel and help me figure out where I can still improve, what changes I should bring to the novel in order to make it better, etc. And both of them have actually brought up the fact that they thought, based on the premise, one of them had already read the story when she told me this, and the other person had not yet read it but just knew of the synopsis of my story, told me they thought it reminded them slightly of Ninth House. Except I've never read Ninth House, although I did obviously own it on my TBR shelves. And I kind of thought this could be a great comp title, I guess. A comp title, which is a comparison title, is a book that you can compare to your current novel when you decide to query with agents and publishers. So when you start querying and being like, hey, I wrote this book, would you want to be my agent and try and champion it to get it published? You usually need to bring to them a couple of comp titles. I think 3 is what people expect to get, and basically I find that really hard, and I think a lot of writers do as well, finding other titles that are comparable to yours. For instance, there is one that I've already thought of before, which is The Ravens. And the reason why I wanted to compare this book to mine is because the story happens in college as well and takes place mostly in sororities that are actually hiding covens of witches, and that happens in my book as well. So when I read this book I was like, that's very similar to some parts of my book for sure. So that is a good comp title. However, I actually didn't love that story all that much. Like, I liked some bits of it and some parts I thought were great, but not everything about it wowed me, and so it's kind of painful to think I need to compare my book to this one because I think it's a really good comparison, but on the other hand, I didn't think it was that good, and therefore should I actually use it as a comp or should I not? It's one of those many questions that I have when it comes to comp titles. Now, Ninth House, I never thought would be a good comparison before because obviously I hadn't started the book and I didn't know much about it except that it happened in college. And I was like, okay, it happens in college and there are hidden societies, I think it's in Yale, and those hidden societies, secret societies, use magic and stuff like that. So yeah, there is that aspect of the book that is very comparable to mine, so I can definitely use that as a comp title just based off this information. But I thought this was much more dark academia and much more slow. And I think there are aspects of it that I'm sure people would say are dark academia, but every actual dark academia book I have read so far has felt much more slow paced and very different in the atmosphere. I don't know, the styles from the vibes that I'm getting from the book compared to this one so far. I'm only 50 pages in, but yeah, so far I'm not sure whether I agree with it being dark academia. Although I'm sure that it technically fits in the genre, it's just for me personally, having read some dark academia books and thinking that's not something that I like, I'm enjoying this. Then is it really the same? I don't know. So the book that I'm referring to, the one that I wrote, by the way, is called The Art of Summoning Demons, and I have a whole video where I explain a lot more about that actual book over there, so go check. I don't know which side I'll be on, but there'll be a card. So I am only 50 pages in and I don't have that much to say yet, but I am enjoying it so far overall. I think the writing style is really fun and really good, and I'm really liking discovering more and more about the secret societies and our main character, Alex Stern, and I find that the gritty aspect of things and how the magic is like really dark and feels dangerous and kind of scary, like basically, these secret societies are using magic, at least the one that we're talking about so far, which is called the Bonesmen. They're using magic by doing rituals where they're calling these prognostications, and they're basically cutting open someone who's alive, looking into their entrails or whatever, and basically based on that they decide what it means for like the stock exchange and things like that. So that's how they make money, I guess, and I'm sure that they sell their services. I don't really know much more about it because it's only 50 pages in. And the thing that I didn't like at first, but you know, it's fine now, is that we got plunged in immediately with no warning, and there's so many names to retain already, so many different people, so many different names of things and magic and houses and whatever, that I got really confused at the beginning. Like, it's easy to understand after a while, but at the very, very beginning, the first chapter is just full of that, and you're like, the hell is going on, and you feel like your attention is pulled left and right everywhere. So yeah. But apart from that, I am really enjoying the main character so far, the writing style, and mostly it's paced in a way that makes me want to know more constantly. Like, there's constantly new information and new things that come in that makes you think, wait, what? I want to know more about this and I want to know more about that. And I would say the only thing that I'm worried about might be confusing for me personally is that it seems to be jumping in time. So you have one chapter that is called Winter and then one chapter that is called Last Fall. So you jump back and forth. But I think so far it's been okay. It hasn't been too confusing in the first 50 pages. So hopefully it'll be fine for me. Hello, today is Monday the 4th of July and we're at the second catch up with my friend for how much we're reading in this book, the Ninth House book. So basically last week we decided that this Monday we would go up until chapter 13, which for me is page 221 in this edition. So that's what I did. I read up until there, and so I'm pretty much almost halfway through, so I thought I'd give a quick update on how I feel about this book so far. So I think there's a couple of things that I'm slightly uncomfortable with. There should be a bit of a trigger warning if you're ever gonna read this book, which I'm sure there must be if you're looking into this book. There's a scene where the character almost gets raped by a ghost. I'm not entirely sure whether she's unclear in her description of events whether this actually did happen or if it almost happened. I think it did happen, if only for a very brief second, basically. So that's my understanding of that scene. Me and my friend discussed that scene and we're a little bit shocked by it, but yeah, that's one of those things that was a little bit like, wait, what the fuck? And kind of felt slightly unnecessary, if not for the shock value. It feels like it's more for the shock value than anything else. I might be wrong. I feel like maybe, I mean, this is a choice, right? Like, this is a choice, and okay, I think the only reason why we were a little bit like something else could have happened is because literally I think the reason for that scene being in her past and being something that she remembers happening is to kind of explain why she's like scared of the ghost that she can see, and the fact that she's worried they can touch her and they are dangerous, and like at some point she remembers that scene and it's like, okay, here's why basically our main character is worried and thinks that ghosts can definitely be dangerous and they can touch people, and that's like fucking scary basically. So I feel like that's the main goal for that scene, and you could have done that with anything else. Like, the ghost could have pretty much like tried to kill her, strangled her or something, and then left marks on her neck or something like that. I don't know, it could have done a lot of other things that didn't require sexual assault. However, that's the only thing so far that I'm like more disturbed by, because the rest, honestly, I'm really enjoying it, and I think it's really, really well written, extremely fun to plunge into. The beginning was very confusing and there was a lot going on, but now that we're further in, I'm really enjoying both stories. The one in the past, which all the chapters are called Last Fall, and the ones in the present, chapters called Winter. And basically discovering bit by bit what actually happened, because there's several little mysteries that we're slowly uncovering, and I'm really interested, I'm really intrigued. I think this is really fun and well written, and I do want to call it so far a comp for my novel, because there are a lot of similar elements, although it makes me almost like, there's like that kind of feeling when you read a book that you feel like it's really good and has a lot of similarities in terms of the genre and the style of stories with the book you've written, and you feel almost that sense of, oh, I wish I had written this, you know? And that's kind of how I feel. But that's also a good feeling. That means it's a good book and I'm enjoying myself. Today is Monday the 12th Tuesday, the 12th of July, yes, and I just finished reading Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. So just thought I would give you my conclusions and finish this vlog off. So basically I decided to rate it 5 stars. I had a couple of moments where I thought this could be better, and I have a couple of issues with this or that, such as the fact that there's several moments where she does talk about sexual assault in general, and there's no really preface to it, and I wasn't expecting it, and I get how it's part of the story, it's an adult novel, but it almost felt a bit cheap. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I didn't like this, and I think maybe it's just a personal thing. Be warned though, like if you want to read this and you have issues with talking about sexual assault, then maybe this book is not for you, because it does mention it in a couple of passages. Yeah. So the other thing that both me and my friend agree, because we're buddy reading it, is that the beginning has a lot of just random moments where she talks about this character, this place, this location, this one of the houses, like so many names relevant to the story that you just don't know what they are. And then later on you realize that with the past chapters, because it's on 2 timelines, and whenever you have a past chapter you have a bit more revelations, a bit more information about some of the stuff that you've already heard of but just don't know what it is. So that's kind of how she dealt with the exposition, and I almost feel like she did too good a job at not giving us an info dump at the beginning, and I feel like it would have been better to have a bit of an info dump at the beginning, because the exposition was just like, it was almost a bit too late. Like, a lot of that info could have been better earlier on and would just have helped the flow and the reading, the pace and stuff like that, if I had known some of these things before. But that's one of the only things. Honestly, apart from that, I enjoyed the mystery, I enjoyed the twists towards the end, I enjoyed the ending, and I enjoyed a lot of the action scenes and the pace. And the main character, really liked her flows and her qualities, like the way she was written was just great. I mean, I personally really like that type of character, so really happy with it. And also a lot of, you know, the way the story unraveled. I don't think there was any moment where I thought there's a potential romantic interest there, and yet I was still really intrigued by every character and everything happening, even though I often like when there's a bit of a romantic subplot. There's not really a romantic subplot. You could read into some of the stuff, you could read that as a romantic subplot and think that maybe more stuff is going to happen in the second book, but it didn't read that way to me. That's just a, you know, my personal opinion on it. And yet I still enjoyed everything, and I didn't feel like it was lacking. I didn't think it was missing that bit as part of the plot. So yeah, overall really, really liked it. And so many times I felt jealous of this book, because I was reading it trying to figure out if it would be a good comp for my own novel, The Art of Summoning Demons, and figuring out that, oh my god, I wish I had come up with this, I wish I had written that, I wish I had taken that bit of mythology and made something out of it. Loved that part. Like, I enjoyed being jealous of it. I enjoyed thinking, oh my god, I wish I was the author of this book, because it's so fun and it's got the pacing and the type of story that I love and that I like writing as well. So yeah, if it's not considered one of those outlier books, because Leigh Bardugo is a very big name, I hope this isn't considered one. I don't think it is, so I think I will definitely use it as a comp title, and very happily so. So yeah, that's it. That's my conclusion. That's why I decided to put 5 stars on it, mostly for enjoyment purpose, because I realised that it's very subjective when you put stars on a book, and for me, the 5 stars are for books that I truly, truly enjoyed, regardless of its faults. On this note, hopefully I can do this again and find other books that I feel would be potential comps for my book, and in which case I will film a vlog again. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, consider subscribing, ring that bell, all that jazz, and I will see you guys in the next one.